ויתעלה ויתהלל שמר קודשם
בריחו
לימין כה ברכתה ושירתה
תושבחתה ונחמתה דעמי עמי עמה
ואמרו
אמן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברכו את אדוני המבורך לעולם. המבורך לעולם.
You may be seated as we turn back to our DOF bottom of page 1 of that handout.
Roll into dark,
Roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
Oreon balayla, kolel or mipnei choshech, kolel or mipnei choshech,
v'choshech mipnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Hooray, Yom Balayla, Golel Mipnei Choshech, Golel Mipnei Choshech, V'choshech Mipnei Yom. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. A worthy bearer of Torah. God's message to me, you shall live your days as a worthy bearer of Torah. Make of your home a sanctuary in which love and learning flourish. In the morning's promise and the twilight's peace, you shall pause to reflect upon the blessings of my mitzvot. When you speak to your children or your parents, when you speak to your friend or a stranger, utter words of kindness and respect. And help make my message more meaningful. When my words touch your heart, and when you truly understand my message, act upon those words. Value truth in your practice and disdain all greed. Share your portion with those whose portion is not full. Lift the neighbor who has fallen. Offer food to the hungry. Share your home with the homeless. Help teach the messages of Torah to those who may be unaware. Remember your eternal connection to Sinai's ancient tablets. They are Israel's treasure. Let the love with which I led you from bondage to freedom live in your heart and your soul. Like Moses, who delivered my commandments to you in the desert, you shall live all your days as a worthy bearer of Torah. and we turn to some important words of Torah. Page 34, I invite you to rise in body or spirit for Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך לכל לבבך ולכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושינתם לבניך בדיברת בם, ושבתך וביתך ולפתך בדרך ושוקתך וחומך ושרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצותי ואתם קדושים אלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Saving the earth. Each day is a gift written in the wind, delicate and indelible, hopeful, winsome, and painful. Each day is a gift not to be taken for granted, slipping by sometimes too quickly, but always with an appreciation of the little things. Each day is a gift. We can see it as an opportunity, or we can watch it slip away without ever really appreciating its acute beauty. If the sky looks like blue cornflowers, the grass looks as green as a leprechaun, the forest filled with birdsong, the fields are teeming with life. Down to the littlest creature, we can feel the power of their spirit that's just a soul gift, a soul lift, ever-present blooming and expanding awareness that even though I am the smallest speck on this great blue planet, the entire universe revolves inside of me, like a great river raging and flowing towards my destiny. Each day is a gift, like a flower giving its pollen to a hungry bee. We must save this blessing, surging and flowing into the unstoppable inevitability of joining the earth in song. We continue in our Siddur, page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נענתה בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך אהובה ובניך, פוקע בפני ותביעם, צליאנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נענתה בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא.
We turn to page 2 of our daf, now on the back with Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu shomrei, nu lecha Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Sometimes I lay under the moon, and I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray you don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. But when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day.
Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom, V'amidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom, V'amidenu Shomreinu Lechaim.
We return to our prayer book at the top of page 44.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam, beritolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam, beritolam. Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam, beritolam. Kisheshet Yamim Asa Adonai et Hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam, beritolam. Ashvi'i Uvayom Ashvi'i Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam, beritolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam, beritolam.
We're going to continue in English on page 45, but we're going to go right into Hebrew on page 46. When we hit that Hebrew, we'll rise together as we prepare for the Amidah, our traditional standing prayers.
When I was growing up down about 45 minutes from here in Aberdeen, New Jersey, we'd always start our Amidahs with a little prayer, a little song to know that we are all still together. It goes like this.
A thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and a joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, Yai rai 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 rai. Yai rai rai, yai rai rai, yai rai 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 rai. Yai rai rai, yai rai 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 rai. Adonai, Svatai, Tivta, Ufi, Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, Svatai, Tivta, Ufi, Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'ohev tevimotenu, Eloi Avraham, Eloi Yitzchak, Eloi Yaakov, Eloi Sarah, Eloi Rivka, Eloi Rakev, Eloi Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Anora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וחונה הכל, וזוכר חסי אבות ואמהות, ומגיג גאולה לפני בניכם, למען שמו ואהבה, מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב והושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח רופאים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומחיי אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומשמיע ישועה, ונאמן לחיים לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלו חסלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated, and I'll ask you to join me in English for the prayer for our country on our daf, page 2 in the middle. We read together. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation, our community, and all of those who reside within it merit your protection and love. May our homes, our places of worship, our schools, our places of work, be safe havens for growth of our minds, bodies, and souls. God of the scared, vulnerable, and compassionate, Holy One of the hopefuls, the pessimists, the optimists, merciful One of us all, infuse us with the strength to be righteous, tzedek, justice-seeking members of our community and nation. Bless our community and nation with safety and peace. And we're going to continue right on that daf as David shares with us his very own Shalom Rav.
Yes, first I'm going to pick up the pig that I dropped.
That's why I'm stalling, can't you tell? You know, this prayer for peace, great peace, lots of peace in our world and beyond.
So, I have not introduced myself. My name is Dave Mallinger. I'm the head song leader over in Aberdeen, New Jersey at Temple Shalom. One of the things that I was contracted to do there is a lot of our congregants have gotten tired of the Jeff Klepper Shalom Rav. That's very universal, which is the Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha. People have gotten really tired of that one apparently in my congregation. So they go, Mr. David, write something new. So they said to me, and I said, okay. So it is a little call and response. If you see on your papers, it goes like this. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav.
Just like that. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav.
Together. Shalom Rav. On Yisrael Amecha.
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom
nice.
Rav,
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amecha, Tasim Leolam, Tasim Leolam. Oh, please grant us peace. May it be pleasing to you. May you bless our house of Israel. Oh, grant us peace. For every woman and every man, so that we all can be whole once again. Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Al
Yisrael
Yisrael
Amecha.
Amecha.
Whoa, Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Shalom Rav,
Al
Al Yisrael Amecha.
With the words of peace ringing in our ears, we'll take a few moments to offer up our own silent prayers, our hopes and our dreams and our yearnings on this Erev Shabbat. And we'll come back together in just a moment in the middle of 62 with familiar words, but to a tune also by David.
The story behind this song comes from me sitting in my bedroom and trying to figure out an easier way to play Shabbat by Debbie Friedman. And I'm strumming away at the chords. And this is also the time when I'm finally recording my new Shabbat, which is combining the words of Tikkun Olam and Shabbat together. So that should be. However, when I was sitting around, I noticed something about the tune of this. It goes like this.
Iyu leratzo im refi vekyo libi lifanecha Adonai Suri Vego Ali Adonai Suri Vego Ali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O Adonai. My words, my mouth, meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. My rock and my redeemer.
We jump in ahead in our prayer book to page 253. as up on our screen tonight, because Mike so wonderfully fixed our projector this week, will appear the names of loved ones, members of our community who are in need of healing. And we'll sing together in just a moment in the middle of page 253 together. But if there's any names you'd like to add to this list, I invite you to share those now. Juliana Rodriguez. And for all those we hold in our hearts, we join together in this prayer for healing, asking God to remember all those in need, just as God has remembered so many who've come before us. Middle of 253. The book of Exodus is called Shemot in Hebrew, which means in English, names. The reason for this is that the first 5 verses of the book list our ancestors who settled in Egypt. These are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob, each coming with his household: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The total number of persons that were of Jacob's issue came to 70, Joseph being already in Egypt. You may not be surprised that all of these names belong to men, because the Torah more readily speaks of men and tells us their names, while many female characters fall to the background of our sacred stories. But we see an exception to this rule in the beginning of the book of Exodus, which highlights the stories of women. In last week's Torah portion, we met Shifra and Puah, the Hebrew midwives who defied Pharaoh's orders to kill any baby boys born to the children of Israel. These women were the first humans in recorded history to engage in civil disobedience, and they were rewarded mightily by God for it. Then we were introduced to a woman married to a certain member of the tribe of Levi who chose to save her baby boy by placing him in a basket on the Nile River. The baby's sister followed the basket, which floated toward the daughter of Pharaoh. Knowingly, the princess adopted the Hebrew child, and the sister convinced her to let the baby's own mother nurse him. At first, the Torah does not name these pivotal characters, but soon enough, we learn that Moses' birth mother was Yocheved, his sister Miriam, and his adopted mother was given a special name by the ancient rabbis, Batya, meaning the daughter of God. By giving these women names, we are alerted to their importance in the narrative. Bless you. Fast forward to Moses' exile to Midian, the land outside of Egypt, where he meets and assists a group of young women, 7 daughters of a local priest. The priest thanks Moses for coming to his family's aid by taking in the stranger and giving him a place to stay. Eventually, this stranger marries his eldest daughter, Tzipporah. After Moses and his wife bring a son into the world, it is Tzipporah, Moses' non-Israelite partner, who circumcises the boy in a strange biblical episode that ultimately saves Moses' life. This makes Tzipporah the 4th woman outside of our community to play a salvific role in our sacred story, as told by the book of Exodus, and often retold around the Seder table. In this week's Parsha, called Va'era, the Torah shares the lineage of the tribe of Levi. This is where we learn the names of Moses' parents, as well as his older brother Aaron. And among the numerous names of men in the family, the Torah also tells us the names of Aaron's wife and Aaron's son's wife, an unusual occurrence in the Torah's many mention of family trees. You may not be shocked to learn that these stories of sheroes, as I'm going to be calling them tonight, in our tradition have spoken to me from an early age. When I became a bat mitzvah, my Devar Torah focused on the powerful female characters in my Torah and Haftarah portions, which we'll be reading in just a couple weeks. I discussed Miriam, who led the Israelites in music making and dancing after we crossed the Sea of Reeds. I taught about Deborah, the only female judge in the early years of the children of Israel in the land of Israel. Her general Barak refused to go into battle without her, even if that meant that his military victory would be attributed to a woman. But the ultimate hero of that Haftarah portion was Yael, a non-Israelite woman who took it upon herself to house the enemy general Sisera, lure him to sleep with milk, and drive a tent peg through his skull while he was sleeping, thus winning the war for Israel. Next year, on Sunday mornings, we're going to go through the book of Judges. More to come on that. These biblical women have inspired me throughout my life. And this Shabbat, I have been reflecting on some of the other sheroes whose stories motivate me. Margaret Thatcher was England's first female prime minister, as well as the country's longest-serving prime minister of the 20th century. Among some of her most famous quotes, she said, "If you just set out to be liked, you would be prepared to compromise on anything at any time, and you would achieve nothing." This reminds me of why I became a rabbi. Not to be liked, although that can be an enjoyable side benefit, but to be respected and to lead our people into the next chapter of our story. That is easier said than done, but I believe it is what I have been called to do. The Iron Lady also said, "I am in politics because of the conflict between good and evil, and I believe that in the end, good will triumph." The same is true of why I am in the rabbinate. We find ourselves in a turbulent time in history that requires moral clarity and conviction. I strive to provide that, standing on the shoulders of so many who have gone before me, some of whom I have mentioned this evening. Another shero of mine is Golda Meir, the first and thus far only female prime minister of Israel. Golda learned how to assert her leadership as a woman in a male-dominated patriarchal society. She claimed that not being beautiful was a true blessing. Not being beautiful forced her to develop her inner resources. Using those resources, she stressed the importance of working together and maintaining optimism, even in the face of incredible challenges. Another hero I want to mention tonight is Debbie Friedman. We've already sung several of her songs. We have one more left, don't worry, so there's more to come. And her yard site actually happens to be around this time of year. And Debbie transformed what Jewish music in America and really, truly the world looked like. She was innovative and creative and at first very countercultural, and now we sing her tunes as if they were sung at Sinai. And she battled with illness her entire life, which was why she was taken from us far too young. But I'm grateful for all that she did, not only to expand what Jewish music can look like, but also to introduce women's voices to the rich fabric of Jewish living and learning. And the last hero I'd like to mention tonight is my mom. The daughter of a nuclear engineer, she chose to become a civil engineer at a time that women didn't really do those things. Even today, there is a dearth of women going into the field of engineering. She was one of the very few female students at RPI in the 1970s, but she never let that dissuade her from her dreams. And she actually went on to become the president of the American Society for Civil Engineers, a very lofty title indeed. She taught me that there wasn't anything my sister or I couldn't do if we did the work and put our minds to it. Hence me standing on this bima, asserting my authority as a rabbi despite centuries of tradition that claimed women could not hold such a role. And those communities continue to exist today. I have much to say about the many men in our shared stories as well, as in my own personal narrative, whom I find inspiring. But tonight, I want to give voice to the many women I admire, many women that you may admire, those whose names we know, and those who may forever remain anonymous. Without them, we wouldn't be here. Many of them defied the odds, bucking the dominant culture that tried to put them in a proscribed box. And at the end of the day, their stories are our stories, important portions of our inheritance. I offer up my thanks to all who have gone before us and to the many more who will come after us. In their honor, may we live lives of integrity, righteousness, and love. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. We return to our prayer books, page 282 for Aleinu L'Shabeach. Keith and Bear, do you want to help me open the ark tonight? Fabulous. We invite everyone to rise in body or spirit. 282 at the top as we sing about partnering with God to make this world a better place. Shabbat Shalom. Shabeach Ladon Hakol, Latet Gdol Yotzer Breshit, Shehu Noteh Shamayim V'Yoser Haaretz, Umoshav Yikaro B'Shamayim Imal, Ushchinat Tuzo B'Govhei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Einod, V'Anachnu Korim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 287. V'nemar v'haya Adonai, V'melech al kol haaretz, V'yom ha'u, Ki Adonai echad, U'shemo, U'shemo, U'shemo echad. You may be seated. Restoring the light. In shards and cracks, society's mirror shattered, reflections of pain and discord scattered. Eyes gaze upon the fractured view, seeking solace, seeking what is true. Tikkun olam, the work to heal, mending the broken with hands that feel. Piece by piece, each shard made whole, unity's tapestry, mending the soul. Through acts of kindness, love's gentle art, stitching together each fractured part. In the mirror of society, hope gleams bright. Tikkun olam, restoring the light. And we name several lights whom we have lost in recent days and weeks, or at this time in years gone by. If I call your loved one, you're welcome to stand at your place. One whose family is in the period of Shiva, those first 7 days of mourning, our congregant, past President Dick Stoller. Two whose families are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, Hallie Evans, niece of Barry and Gail Weisberg, Phil Kravitz, father of Stephen, and we continue to remember Stuart Breiterman, husband of Wendy Breiterman. And we remember the following yard sites, the anniversary of the passing of these loved ones. Barry Adler, Isidore Balaban, Marjorie Ann Bloomberg, Stephen Boris, Isidore Brodsky, Belle Byer, Florence Druckman, Gail Eisner, Rhoda Feynman, David Feldstein, Paul Finkelstein, Albert Gittleson, Evelyn Glasser, Adolph Glassgall, Nanette Gordon, Milton Grossberg, Irving Kantrowitz, Joel Kleinbaum, Sally Cohn, Edith Krupnick, Saul Langer, Simone Levitt, Edwin Manning, Michael Marin, Irving Martin, Martin Menaker, Marshall Ross Polovsky, Audrey Rosen, Helen Schreiber, Arthur Turek, and Faye Turek, Julius Weisenberg, Harry Weiss, and Jacqueline Slotkin. We now rise as one community as we are able, as we recite the words on page 294 of Mourner's Kaddish. Gary Johnson as well. 294 together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. B'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon. Uchaye techol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach. Le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim alinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Huya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memory always be a blessing. You may be seated as we now have a few announcements. But if you want to get ready, our closing song will be on page 342.
I've really enjoyed services tonight and hope that you have as well, and that you found them meaningful. Thank you, David, for joining us on the Bima. We hope this opportunity for you to connect and learn with all of us has been meaningful. I'm Ronnie Staffenberg, here tonight representing the Temple Board. After the closing benediction, please follow the service leaders to the rear of the sanctuary for Kiddush and Motzi, followed by a dessert oneg in the social hall. Tomorrow morning, Torah study will be on Zoom only, so bring your own bagel. Our building will be closed for the long holiday weekend, and our doors will open again on Tuesday morning. However, we are out and about in the community on Sunday, Sisterhood will move and groove at In Motion Fitness beginning at noon, and the Windsor Heightstown Area Ministerium is holding our annual MLK Interfaith Service at Mount Olivet Baptist Church starting at 7 p.m. All are welcome for fellowship and food with our neighbors of all faiths. Commercial. If you haven't been to one of the WAM services, go. Bingo is back on Thursday. Doors open at 6 p.m. Next Shabbat, we will hear from the Beth Chaim Choir. For more details about all we have going on, please check your emails and the temple website. Thank you to everyone who participated in our cantor visits over the last 2 weeks. Your feedback was invaluable for the search committee. The process continues to unfold, but we hope to have good news to share very soon. Finally, we on the board want to hear from you. Feel free to chat with us at any time about how we can all work together. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
All right, page 342 in the back of your prayer book, another song by Debbie Friedman, all about Miriam leading the children of Israel in music making and dancing. And so if you aren't familiar with this song, we gave you a little hint with the music earlier when we sang Mi Chamocha, and hopefully you'll catch the chorus as we go.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted.
Miriam and the women dance and dance the whole night long.
And Miriam was weaver of unique variety. Her tapestries she wove once, she sang a history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. Oh, women touch the spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the ones whom we've exalted.
Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long.
When Miriam stood upon the shores and cast out to sea, the wonder of this miracle they soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and mark the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted.
Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long.
And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women that followed her,
just as she had planned.
And Miriam raised her voice in songs, she sang her praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted.
Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song.
Sing a song to the ones who we've exalted. Miriam and the women dance and dance all night long. We invite you to rise one last time as we have this opportunity to bless one another with these words of Torah. Yivrechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless us and protect us. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God's light shine upon us, and may God be gracious with us. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May we never feel alone, that the divine presence is close at hand, and may we be blessed with that great gift of peace. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.